T-80B, a hot addition into WarThunder coming soon. You know, let's talk about it a bit. You see, there has been a lot said about the tank, and I would just like to set a few things straight. First thing, even, the version of it that we're getting. Now, many people have said that it's a version from the year 1983, which is not entirely correct. You see, even Gaijin themselves claim that, but it's not the case. The tank that we're getting, judging by the 30mm additional plate, is a variant from 1985. Now, the T-80B was introduced in 1978, pardon, and it had a basic glacis of 60mm plate and a 45mm plates, both steel and, some textilite in between. Now, in 1983, they realized that that was not really enough because they just tested the new easily round, the heads round, and they realized that, oh shit, it actually can penetrate us. So they added a 16mm plate to their main battle tanks, including the T-80B, and thus created the T-80B version 1983. Now, in 1985, a new tank was scheduled to be introduced. That was the T-80BV. Now, the T-80BV had a completely redesigned, hull armor, and the Soviets realized that, oh wait, if we do this, then our T-80Bs, which are extremely expensive tanks as they are, they're going to be, outdated, and they're going to be weak. So what do we do to them? So they decided to put a different additional plate onto the T-80Bs, and this was the 30mm plate that we're getting, and thus created the version 1985, which, as they thought, had a similar protection levels of a T-80BV, except that it doesn't have a, contact one. So, yeah, the version that we're getting is from 1985, not 83. Now, important to note, it's, full of experts. Second thing is, many people said that, oh yeah, we're probably going to see an unlockable module with contact 1, and as I've just said, that's not really possible because you see T-80BV is an entirely different tank. It's not just a simple matter of slapping some ERA onto a, T-80B. No. You get a different tank. Now, this has merits because, well, you get more tanks to put into your lineup. So, that's a positive. But, yeah, you cannot simply, upgrade from one to the other just like that. Now, the mobility of the tank has also been discussed, and while it is true that it has a stronger engine, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's faster than a T-64. You see, when going forward, it's exactly the same speed. It's only faster in reverse. Now, how is that possible? Well, its stronger engine only sells it to give it better acceleration, not necessarily speed. And speaking of speed and acceleration, just to point out, the transmission is a 4 plus reverse transmission, not 5 plus reverse as some have claimed. That's just to, clean it up. Now, speaking of the reverse speed is almost 11 kilometers an hour, and that's pretty decent, especially for a Soviet tank. You're going to see some, refreshing gameplay. And speaking of speed forward, yeah, not even off-road is it going to be faster than a T-64B. You see, it might have a stronger engine, but thanks to its suspension, and ground pressure, stuff like that, it really doesn't go much faster. You see, you only get to about 40 to 45 kilometers an hour off road, maybe 60 to 65 on road, and 68 is like the absolute maximum that you can achieve. Now, the gun you're going to be familiar with as well. It's exactly the same gun, even the same ammunition as the current T-64B or BB. Now, it is a bit anachronistic because they're still calling them 3BM15 and 22, where by the time we would be seeing stuff like 3BM26. And actually, in 1985, the Soviets introduced 3BM32, which would have roughly 500 millimeters of flat penetration at 2 kilometers. Mind you, that's flat angles. A 60-degree plate that would stop it would have to have 290 millimeters. Yeah, that it is a mean round. I mean, it is a fast-flying piece of uranium, so obviously it's going to be strong. Its performance for a record is comparable to the American M829, so just to put that into perspective. We're not going to see that thing anytime soon. And speaking of the 3BM26, its actual performance is quite close to the in-game 22, so you're not missing out on much. And yeah, that's about it about T-80B. Now, there has been a lot of talks about modifications. One of them I just covered, the Contact One, being the T-80BV, which is not really a thing. Now, one of the devs actually said that they are planning a modification of T-80B with Contact 5. Now, you have to realize that, that's kind of bollocks because T-80B never had a Contact 5. Now, what they could have meant was simply a random version of a T-80 which has a Contact 5, which would then logically lead us to, T-80U maybe? Yeah, I mean, I love the tank, it just looks good. It has the same glacis as the T-80BV, except it has some additional armor over the ERA, plus it has the ERA itself, which is a heavy type of ERA, which means that it actually defeats kinetic rounds. On the other hand, it has a lot of weak spots, like the Contact 5 covers roughly 60% of the glacis. You have a lot of spaces to shoot through, and the turret is like, similar issue. You're not going to go through the cheeks anyways, but you will easily go around the gun. So yeah, maybe in the future when they introduce M1A1 we could see T-80U. It would be kind of nice match. As for the T-80BV, it's not that far-fetched. Maybe with M1IP they could make a really good combo, make for some really interesting game dynamic. Now, you see, good tanks are not everything. We should see some more variety in the top tier. So maybe in the future, T-72, please. I mean, I just like how the tank looks. Can I get a T-72, please? Any version will do. Just give me my T-72, please.